If you look at what is happening in Washington right now, it does not look like business as usual. It looks like a mutiny. For the first time in his presidency, Donald Trump didn't just hit a wall. He hit a revolt. It happened less than 3 hours ago. The gavel came down in the Senate, and the sound echoed all the way to the White House. The vote wasn't even close. The United States Congress just stepped in to stop the President of the United States from launching an economic war on Canada. Trump tried to corner his northern neighbor. He tried to use the ultimate weapon, a 25% universal tariff on everything crossing the border. He thought he had the leverage. He thought Canada would fold. But Mark Carney didn't blink. He didn't scream. He didn't rage tweet. He just quietly dismantled Trump's entire strategy from the inside out. And now the consequences are spreading. The White House is in chaos. Markets are swinging wildly. And for the first time, people are asking a question that used to be unthinkable. Is Donald Trump losing his grip on his own party? In the next 40 minutes, I'm going to show you exactly what changed today. I'm going to show you the secret leverage Carney used, the Republicans who turned on Trump, and why, even if you live thousands of miles from the border, this vote just saved your wallet. Buckle up. You are watching history shift in real time. Let's get straight to the news. You need to understand the magnitude of what just happened on Capitol Hill. At Tucson p.m. Eastern Time, the U.S. Senate passed a bipartisan resolution. It's a legislative maneuver that effectively strips the president of his authority to impose national security tariffs on Canada without congressional approval. This is huge. This is the nuclear option of trade law. For years, Trump has used Section 232, that's the National Security Clause, to do whatever he wants with trade. He wakes up, he decides he doesn't like a country, and he slaps a tax on them. He doesn't ask Congress. He doesn't ask his advisors. He just does it. He tried to do it to Canada last week. He demanded immediate concessions on the border, on dairy, on energy. When Ottawa said no, Trump announced the tariffs, 25% on everything, oil, cars, lumber, food. It was supposed to go into effect on Monday, but today Congress pulled the emergency brake. A veto-proof majority. That means Republicans and Democrats voting together passed legislation explicitly shielding Canada from these measures. Think about that. Republicans, who usually back Trump on everything, just walked onto the Senate floor and voted with Democrats to protect Canada. Why? Because Mark Carney made them do it, not by force, but by reality. Reports are coming in that for the last 72 hours, the Canadian Prime Minister's office has been on the phone with every major governor and senator in the United States. They didn't threaten. They just showed the math. They showed what happens to the economy in Ohio, in Michigan, in Pennsylvania if that border closes, and the American politicians panicked. They realized Trump was about to drive the economy off a cliff. So they took the keys away. Trump is furious. His press secretary just called the vote treason, but the law is clear. The tariffs are dead. And for the first time, Canada didn't just survive a Trump attack. They reversed it. You might be thinking, is this really that big of a deal? Politicians vote on things all the time. You need to see the receipts. You need to see the proof that this is a fundamental break in how the world works. Look at receipt number 1, the vote count. The final tally was 74 to 26. In this political climate, you can't get 74 senators to agree on what day of the week it is. But 74 of them agreed that Trump's trade war was a suicide mission. 25 Republicans broke ranks. These aren't the usual never-Trumpers. I mean, we are talking about senators from deep red states, senators who need Trump's endorsement to survive. They looked at the polling in their home states. They looked at the price of gas, and they decided that angering Trump was safer than bankrupting their own voters. One GOP senator from the Midwest was overheard leaving the chamber saying, "I can't sell a depression to my constituents just to make a point." That is the sound of fear. Not fear of Trump, fear of reality. Now, look at receipt number 2, the red state letter. This was leaked just hours before the vote. It's a letter sent to the Senate Majority Leader signed by the CEOs of 3 major American auto manufacturers and 5 major energy companies. The language in this letter is terrifying. They didn't use corporate speak. They were blunt. They warned that if the Canada tariffs went through on Monday, assembly lines in Michigan and Tennessee would shut down within 48 hours. They warned that gas prices in the Midwest would jump by 40 cents a gallon overnight. They explicitly stated this is not a negotiation tactic. This is a supply chain collapse. Carney knew this letter was coming. In fact, sources say his team helped provide the data that went into it. He knew that the American business class was at its breaking point. He knew that Trump's bluster works on cable news, but it doesn't work on a spreadsheet. Receipt number 3, the war room photo. This image is going viral right now. It was taken yesterday in Ottawa. It shows Mark Carney sitting at a table with his trade ministers. Look at the table. It's covered in maps, not maps of Canada, maps of U.S. congressional districts. They weren't planning a defense. They were targeting specific American voters. They identified exactly which U.S. districts would be hit hardest by a trade war, districts that Trump needs to win in the midterms, and they made sure those representatives knew exactly what was coming. This wasn't diplomacy, this was political warfare, and Canada brought a sniper rifle while Trump was waving a shotgun. The cameras caught Carney leaving that meeting. A reporter asked him if he was worried about Trump's anger. Carney didn't even stop walking. He just adjusted his glasses and said, "The math works for us. I hope the president checks his work. That is confidence. That is a man who knows he holds the winning hand." So why is this happening now? Why is Donald Trump, the man who remade the Republican Party in his image, suddenly unable to whip votes in his own Senate because he is losing control of the narrative? For years, Trump's superpower was his unpredictability. He calls it the madman theory. If everyone thinks you're crazy enough to burn the house down, they'll give you whatever you want just to save the furniture. It worked with Mexico. It worked to some extent with NATO, but it isn't working with Canada, and it definitely isn't working with Mark Carney. Here is the trap Trump set for himself. He escalates with threats. He threatens tariffs. He threatens to close the border. He threatens to tear up the USMCA. Usually the other side panics. They fly to Mar-a-Lago. They kiss the ring. They offer a token concession, and Trump declares victory. But this time the world responded with silence. When Trump threatened the 25% tariff, Carney didn't fly to Florida. He didn't beg. He simply released a list of U.S. products that Canada would ban in retaliation, and he made sure that list included bourbon from Kentucky and electronics from Texas. He made it personal for the senators in those states. Trump tried to double down. He went on TV and said Canada was taking advantage of us. He tried to rally his base, but the base is feeling the pinch. Inflation is already ticking up. People are worried about their jobs. When Trump threatens a trade war with Canada, the country that buys more American goods than China, Japan, and the UK combined, voters don't see strength. They see risk. Trump is reactive. He is impulsive. He sees a headline he doesn't like, and he fires off a policy that shifts billions of dollars. The system is tired of it. The donors are tired of it. And today, the Senate proved that they are tired of it, too. He is trapped by his own tactics. He pushed too hard, too fast against a partner that is too integrated into the American economy. He tried to cut off his own arm to prove he was tough, and the rest of the body finally said, "Stop. You are watching a president who has run out of moves." He screamed, "Jump." And for the first time in history, the Senate said no. Now let's talk about the man on the other side of this chessboard, Mark Carney. If Trump is fire, Carney is ice. You have to understand Carney's background to understand why he is winning this fight. He isn't a career politician in the traditional sense. He's a central banker. He ran the Bank of Canada. He ran the Bank of England. He deals in risk. He deals in systemic stability. He knows how the plumbing of the global economy works better than almost anyone alive. When Trump throws a tantrum, Carney looks at the bond market. Carney's strategy is completely different from what we are used to seeing. Most world leaders try to appease Trump, or they try to fight him with insults. Carney does neither. He uses leverage. He understood something very simple. The United States needs Canada just as much as Canada needs the United States, maybe more in certain sectors. He didn't fight like Trump fights. He didn't make this about ego. He made it about systems. He built a coalition. He didn't just talk to the White House. He bypassed the White House. He went directly to the governors. He went directly to the CEOs. He went directly to the union leaders. He essentially said, "The president is about to hurt you. Here is the data. Here is the plan to stop him. I can help you if you help me." It's a level of sophistication that Washington wasn't ready for. They are used to Canadian prime ministers who come down and ask nicely for permission. Carney came down and explained how the machine works. He turns pressure into leverage. Every time Trump threatened a tariff, Carney used it as proof that the U.S. was an unreliable partner. He used it to sign new deals with Europe and Asia. He used it to convince American companies to move operations north for stability. The theme here is sovereignty. Carney has framed this not as a trade dispute, but as a defense of Canada's right to exist. And that resonates. Even Americans respect someone who stands their ground. He is playing the long game. Trump is looking at the next news cycle. Carney is looking at the next decade. And today, the long game won. So let's zoom out. What does this actually mean for you? You might be watching this in Ohio or Texas or California, or maybe you're watching from Toronto or Vancouver. This vote today saved your money. plain and simple. If those tariffs had gone into effect on Monday, the price of everything would have gone up. Lumber for building houses up 20%, gas at the pump up, groceries up. Canada is the largest supplier of energy to the United States. You mess with that flow and you pay for it at the pump. But beyond the prices, this signals a massive shift in global leadership. For 70 years, the U.S. has been the leader, the indispensable nation. But when the U.S. president acts like a bully and the U.S. Congress has to step in to stop him, it shows a crack in the armor. It shows that the world doesn't trust American leadership right now. They trust American markets maybe, but they don't trust the White House. Canada just proved that you can say no to America and win. That is a dangerous lesson for the rest of the world to learn. If Canada can do it, why not Europe? Why not China? Trump wanted to show strength. Instead, he exposed a weakness. He showed that his power is not absolute. This is a realignment. We are moving into a world where the U.S. is still big, but it's not the only voice in the room. And Mark Carney just grabbed the microphone. It touches your life because it means uncertainty. It means the old rules where the U.S. sets the price and everyone else pays it are gone. Now it's a negotiation, and Canada just proved it's a very tough negotiator. We are in uncharted territory. What happens tomorrow? This is the part where leaders usually calm it down. They hold a joint press conference. They shake hands. They say democracy worked, but Trump doesn't do calm and he doesn't do defeat. We are looking at 3 scenarios for the next few days. Scenario A, the retaliation. This is the most likely. Trump can't use tariffs anymore. Congress took that toy away, so he will use other tools. He could order extreme vetting at the border. He could slow down trucks for safety inspections. He could ground flights. He can still make life miserable for cross-border trade without technically violating the Senate's vote. Expect delays at the border starting probably tomorrow morning. Scenario B, the legal war. Trump could try to sue Congress. He could sign an executive order claiming emergency powers that supersede the Senate vote. It would go to the Supreme Court. It would drag on for months. It would create total uncertainty for businesses. Markets would hate this scenario C, the pivot. This is the least likely, but the smartest move. Trump could pretend he never wanted the tariffs in the first place. He could claim he made the deal. He could say, I got Canada to agree to great things, so we don't need the tariffs. It's a lie, but it saves face. But looking at his social media feed right now, he isn't pivoting. He is doubling down. He is attacking the senators who voted against him. He is calling for primaries. He is threatening to defund projects in their states. He is wounded, and a wounded political animal is dangerous. Carney knows this. That's why the Canadian military is still on high alert. That's why the trade war rooms in Ottawa aren't celebrating yet. They know the first wave is over, but the storm is still spinning. You need to be prepared for more volatility. This wasn't the end of the conflict. This was just the end of the beginning. The world changed today. It didn't change with a bang or an explosion. It changed with a vote. Congress drew a line in the sand. They chose economic stability over political loyalty. And Mark Carney proved that you don't need to be the biggest superpower to win a fight. You just need to be the smartest. Trump is down, but he is never out. The next few weeks are going to be a test of the American system like we have never seen before. I want to hear from you. Do you think Congress made the right call protecting the economy, or did they betray the president? And do you think Carney is protecting Canada, or is he daring Trump to do something even more drastic? Drop your take in the comments below. This conversation is just getting started. And if you want to know what happens when the border slows down tomorrow, hit that subscribe button because the headlines are too slow to keep up with this. You need to be here. I'll see you in the next